Hey weirdos. Okay, that is so weird to say because as you guys know, we have not made a video in about a month and a half, I want to say. And I'm just gonna get right into it. First, I want to say thank you so much for being patient with us. But I am gonna explain what this video is about. And just so you guys know, Sam and I are not breaking up. This has nothing to do with myself and Sam. She is not here because personally this video just has to do with me and basically what has been going on with me lately. So yeah, I'm just gonna get right into it. There are two reasons as to why I decided that we should take a break from YouTube. And both of the reasons have to do with myself. And since Sam is my wife, she's been really amazing about it and was like, yeah, I completely understand. So the first reason is the main reason. The second reason came because of the first reason, and I'll explain that in just a second. But basically, what has been going on is that I have dealt with something for the past 7-8 years of my life, and it is my biggest insecurity, and that is acne. And basically, my skin has been the worst it had ever been in about 6 years. And basically, before I get into that, I'm going to start from the beginning because I think it's important that I explain to you why this is an insecurity of mine and all that. And before anyone tells me, like, oh, it's just acne, like that's why you took a break, or oh, Alyssa, you're so vain, like that's what you care about, blah blah blah, who cares? But I mean, if you've never dealt with acne, and I'm not talking about acne, because you were a teenager and then you grew out of it, or every single time you get your period, your face breaks out here and there. I mean, acne is a very debilitating skin condition, and it can really, really affect your life. And that's what it did for me. I'm going to tell you kind of like where it started. So when I was growing up, when I was a teenager, I never had acne. I never had any of those teenage problems. I mean, the average girl for her period is around 12 years old, I want to say. I did not get my period until I was 16 or 17. So I got it very late. And then when I got it, I would only get it around 3 to 4 times a year, I want to say, which is not normal. But I mean, all of high school, never had acne. I mean, up until I was 21 years old, I literally had angel baby skin. Like, I never had a problem. And then I hit 21, and that's when everything started. I turned 21 and my face started breaking out like crazy, and I didn't understand because it literally was an overnight thing. It was, randomly I had 3 zits here, or three zits on this side, and then the next day I had 15 on each side, and I was like, what the hell is going on? So I went to the dermatologist, and this was when I was like 21, 22. I went to the dermatologist finally, and they were like, you have rosacea. And I was like, perfect. That's amazing. I have an answer. This is great. So she put me on this medication called doxycycline, and then she put me on something called Differin, which is now sold over the counter, but at the time you can only get it as a prescription. So it worked. I did not have a breakout for a year and a half. I was clear skin. It was amazing. And then after a year and a half, it just stopped working. And my face started breaking out like crazy. And I don't have any pictures to show you because I didn't take any pictures. I didn't want anyone to see me that way. At that time, I had moved to Wisconsin, and I didn't have the same doctor, so I didn't have the same dermatologist, so all of my prescriptions and stuff stopped, and plus it just wasn't working, so I was like, I'm not going to continue to put this stuff in my body or use it because it's not working. So then when I had moved to Wisconsin, it got really, really, really bad again, and again, I couldn't take it, so I finally figured out that maybe birth control will help. So at 23, 24, I want to say, I started taking birth control, and it was amazing. It did the trick, it cleared it up. It was fine, and I was like, great, I can now be on birth control, and my acne is fine. But I was still eating the same way that I was eating prior to all of my allergies. And if you're new to my channel, I have celiac disease. I'm also lactose intolerant, so I have all these allergies I just wasn't aware of. A year and a half went by, or a year went by-ish, and my acne came back. Well, come to find out, I was using the wrong birth control. Yes, birth control can help with acne, but there are certain birth controls that do help with acne. And my acne came back. And around the time that it came back was around the time that I had met Sam. So I was, clear skinned for a long time, and then I had met Sam, and the very beginning of our relationship, before we started making YouTube videos, I started breaking out like crazy. But I was still eating, dairy, and I was still eating gluten, and I was still eating all these things, and I was thinking, okay, maybe it's my diet, because anyone who does not have the problem that I'm going to tell you about, they will tell you that if you give up dairy, your skin will clear up. And for most people, that is the case. If you give up dairy, I promise your skin problems will go away. That is true. And for me, that wasn't the case. I stopped eating dairy, I stopped eating gluten, and yes, my stomach felt better, but my face wasn't clear. I was breaking out again like crazy. And only time I ever broke out, I never broke out here, I never broke out here, I never broke out here, I only broke out right here, like in my beard area. And so after a couple months of dating Sam, and I just couldn't take it anymore, I was so embarrassed. This was like a new relationship, and my insecurity that I've had for 6 years prior to that, or 5-6 years prior to that, was back, and I felt like I couldn't feel confident in a relationship with the way that my face looked. So I went back on birth control. But I went on a different birth control. I went on the birth control that they say works for acne. And it cleared it up. I was taking orthotricycline, which is one of the birth controls that helps with acne, and it was amazing. It did what it needed to do, and for the years that you guys saw us making videos, as you guys know, I don't wear any makeup, and I had clear skin. It was the best. This brings us to around right before summer. So right before summer, in May or April, end of April, very, very end of April, I decided to stop taking my birth control. And I just felt like, maybe because I wasn't eating dairy anymore, that my skin would clear up, and that I wouldn't need the birth control anymore because I wasn't eating all the crap. I eat a very, very healthy diet. I drink a gallon of water a day. I was like, I should have clear skin. Like, I'm doing everything right. I exercise. I do what I need to do. There's no reason that I should have acne. So, and also the reason that I stopped taking my birth control was because Sam and I have been wanting to, maybe start having a baby. And since I wanted to carry, I needed to obviously get on birth control and figure out what to do. So I got off of birth control at the very end of April. And May was fine. No breakouts, no nothing. And then June, I had the appointment with the OBGYN, and she was just like, well, you have lupus, like, I don't think that you should have a kid. Usually I get that doctors have to tell you things, that they have to tell you the risks, and I understand that. But she didn't tell me one positive thing that came out of me if I had a child. She just was like, you could get a blood clot and you could die, and this could happen and you could die, or this could happen and this could happen and this can happen. She didn't tell me, there are women who have babies all the time who have lupus. She didn't tell me things like, your labs are perfect, you don't have any, you're not in a flare, you don't have any problems currently, you live a very healthy lifestyle, you exercise regularly. I don't see why you're not 30, I don't see why there's no chance that you could have a baby. She just told me every single thing that was negative. So that's just the doctor's appointment that happened in June, right? Then July came, and that's when my skin started freaking out again. And that makes sense because they say when you get off of birth control, your skin starts to freak out around 3 months 2 to 3 months off of the birth control, because you know, your hormones are kind of going back to normal. So around June, I started getting things here and there, but it was only on my chest, and it was like on my neck right here and on my back. And I was like, great, you know, this is happening again, whatever. Then August came, and as you guys know, Sam and I went back to Massachusetts to visit her family in August, and my skin was bad. And you guys probably didn't know that, but that's because the last, like, I want to say 6-7 videos on our channel, I was wearing makeup. I couldn't handle it. I didn't want to be seen. I was starting to get really depressed. I just couldn't do it. And so then when we went to Massachusetts in August, I did not want to be there. I was so depressed being there, and that's just because the only thing I could think of was acne. I mean, when you have it, and as bad as you have it as I did, it's the thing that you think of from the minute you wake up to the minute you go to sleep. So the entire time I was there, all I was thinking of was, I don't want to be here. I'm so depressed. I don't want to do anything. And I honestly would not come downstairs and see anyone or talk to anyone unless I had makeup on my face. And I'm not good at makeup, so it probably wasn't the best. I just couldn't do it. But I mean, I did it. I tried to have fun in Massachusetts, and I just was there in the moment, but I was covering up with makeup. August 19th, we got back to California, and that's when I made the decision that I wanted to stop doing YouTube for a little bit. And that's because my acne I thought it was bad in Massachusetts, but it was bad here. And I'm going to show you guys pictures throughout this to show you just how bad it was. Not only was it just like super like red, there was acne everywhere. It was oily. Even after I washed my face, it was super oily, and it was painful. Like, I literally couldn't even sleep on my pillow because it was that painful. So from August 19th up until about the day before my birthday, I left the house 3 times. I quit working. I literally couldn't do it. I was so depressed. Like, I've never been more depressed than I have been in the past month and a half. Like, I literally would like think about my acne. I would talk to some friends about it, and it made me actually like super upset, which is, if you guys know me, I mean, I'm not very an emotional person, but it literally got to the point where like I didn't leave the house. But Sam has been so amazing. I mean, she never once said anything about it. Like, she would try and help me and encourage me, but I don't know. But anyways, in between the time of when we got back and my birthday, which is September 15th, like I said, I left the house 3 times. And that was because I was like, I need to get answers. I can't take this anymore. I need real answers. So I went to a dermatologist. Right when I walked in, she goes, she didn't even look at my chart. She didn't look at my food habits. She didn't look at like anything. She just looked straight at me, and she goes, looked at my face. She goes, you have some sort of hormone imbalance, or you have polycystic ovarian syndrome, which is also a hormone imbalance. She goes, I'm going to give you some medication, and I do think that you should take birth control again just because it does work for you, and you should be taking it with the medication that I'm going to be giving to you. But I was like, I don't want to be on birth control again. You know, I want to have kids. Like, I want to figure this out without birth control. So 3.5 weeks later, about 2 days prior to my birthday, I went back, and the medication that she was giving me wasn't working. It was, if anything, it got worse. And she was like, it shouldn't be getting worse. That's like not a thing. And there's no topical thing that I can put on my face and it wouldn't go away, because it's not something that just goes away by like your diet or what you put on your face. It's a hormone problem. And I mean, it all makes sense, because when you're a woman and you start getting acne only right here, it's mainly a hormonal problem. So I went back and I was like, I'm going to go back on birth control. I'm so depressed. I can't do this anymore. I need to fix it. And since I know birth control works, I'm going to go back on it. And she was like, okay, and I'm going to give you this new antibiotic, which was doxycycline, which is what I took years ago. And so I know that it does work. But she was like, I also do think that you need to go and get tested for PCOS, which is polycystic ovarian syndrome. 5 days after that, well, I started the birth control the day that I saw my dermatologist. 5 days after that, I ended up going to the OBGYN and again, or the gynecologist. And I was like, I need to get tested for polycystic ovarian syndrome. And, you know, my face was still breaking out at that point and super oily. And I just told her everything. I've never had a regular period in my life. Like, I didn't tell you this, but when I got off of birth control back in April, within a month of being off of it, I gained 8 pounds. And usually when you're on birth control, you gain weight when you're on it, and when you're off of it, your body kind of like goes back to like normal. No, I gained 8 pounds, and I only gained it in my midsection. It's in, if you have polycystic ovarian syndrome, a lot of the women who gain weight, they gain it only in their midsection. It's called like the tube weight or tire weight or something like that, where it's like literally only right here, like my face, my arms, my legs, everything fine. My midsection, I gained 8 pounds, and I've never gained 8 pounds like in my life. Like, I gradually just got taller, and that's why my weight went up, but I gained 8 pounds right off of birth control. So when I went to the OBGYN, I just told her everything, and she was like, yeah, I mean, it sounds like that could be potentially what you have. And she was like, but the only way to test you is you have to be off of birth control for 2 months. And I had just started it 5 days prior to going to the OBGYN. And she was like, yeah, I can't test you for it because your hormones would say that everything is fine because you're putting hormones in your body. And I was like, great. But I did ask her, I said, if I did get off of birth control, you know, for 2 months and whatever, and if I did have polycystic ovarian syndrome, what would my course of treatment be? And she said, birth control. So basically, the second reason why I'm making this video, the first is, you know, was acne. And the second one is the fact that I got even more depressed finding out that me having kids is not going to be a thing. I mean, your entire life, you as a woman, or even as a man, you think, I'm going to grow up and I'm going to have kids. And, you know, not that if I were to adopt a child or when Sam has a kid, like, I'm not going to think that that kid is mine. But I mean, when you're growing up your entire life, you just think, cool, I'm going to have like a little me, and like that's going to be an amazing thing. I mean, and I know that I get that there are options, and I get that people who do have polycystic ovarian syndrome, and I'm not saying that I do have it, because I don't want to say, oh yes, I have something that I haven't been tested for. I'm just saying my dermatologist thinks I have it, and the gynecologist thinks that it could potentially be a thing. I'm not saying that I do have it. But I do have a lot of the symptoms of it. The reason that I get that there are options that and that women who have PCOS do end up having kids, but they also probably have an endless supply of sperm to be able to try and get pregnant. But also it's just too risky with all of the other things that I have with lupus. I've been thinking about it, and yes, it's really depressing knowing that I won't have a child that is my own. But I also do know that if I were to have a child and that child ended up developing any of the problems that I currently have, like health problems, I don't think that I would be able to be okay with that. I think that it's just not fair to that child. It's just not, I don't think it would be fair to that child. It's also super risky for me. So Sam is going to be the only one carrying a child. And I'm starting to be okay with that. But basically, yeah, so that is what has been going on. I have been so depressed. Like I said, I don't leave the house. And I know you're probably thinking, oh, your face looks fine right now. Currently, I am wearing makeup. And I'm so thankful that there is something like makeup out there. And I've never been one of those people that have ever like understood what makeup, like I've never got it. Like I'm just kind of like, why cover up your face? Like whatever. And I understand it is an art, and I do understand that people just like to wear it. But I now understand that it's this thing that helps people like myself feel confident enough to step out, into the world, or sit in front of a camera and film a video. I'm only wearing it because there is a little bit of scarring still left. My face is like 95% better than it was a couple weeks ago. I've been so fortunate that the doxycycline that I'm on and my birth control that I'm back on is working really fast. And since I have dealt with acne like this, I do know how to treat it. And there is just like, there are topical stuff that like I am using, but so yes, this is, I mean, my face is a little bit of scarring right here, but there's no more active, like, I mean, the reason that I'm making this video is because, one, I feel like Sam and I owed you guys an explanation as to why we took a break, but also, like, I know that I'm not the only person that has dealt with acne, and I know that I'm not the only YouTuber that has dealt with acne. I mean, every single person on YouTube, whether you like to think so or not, has an insecurity. And there are some people that are able to deal with it a lot better, but for me, I was so depressed, like I couldn't handle it anymore. If you think that you may have some sort of problem and you've tried everything, you're that person that's like, I've tried everything over the counter and nothing works, like you can always, you know, go to your doctor and definitely get checked out by a professional and have them figure out, you know, what's going on, and they will be able to tell you. But that's pretty much it. I mean, I want to say that Sam and I are going to be back making videos. I mean, you guys are going to have one on Monday for sure. And I'm sorry that we took a break, but I couldn't do it. I couldn't even look at myself like in the mirror, let alone sit down and make a video and pretend to like be happy or pretend that, you know, I wanted to be in front of the camera. But I'm getting there, and it is getting better every day, and I'm very thankful that I did have the answers that I needed. But yeah, that's it. And I hope that you guys enjoyed this, and I hope that it does help someone who's also dealing with some sort of, you know, insecurity. Everyone has them. So anyways, I love you guys, and I'm gonna go now.